Hello, I'm Chris Cherry, owner and winemaker here at Via Creek Cellars at the Maha Estate in the Western Hills of Paso Robles. Today we're going to taste 4 wines that we make under the Via Creek label. We're going to start off with a little bit of Roussanne. But before that, a bit about what we do. We are a small family-run operation here on Peachy Canyon Road in the Western Hills of Paso. It's myself, my wife Joanne, and our kids Camille and Henry. We started this project in 2001 while having a restaurant here in town, and now starting 2017 we focus exclusively on vineyard and winery. We're located here on our estate winery, which we call the Maha. It's a certified organic and biodynamic estate, where half the fruit that we ferment in a given year comes from. And we also make wines under our state label, Maha. So the first wine today is the 2019 Roussanne. It hails all from James Berry Vineyard, which is 2.5 miles behind me to the south. Roussanne is a rich, textural white wine that comes from the Rhone Valley, Châteauneuf-du-Pape in the south, all the way up into Hermitage and Saint-Joseph in the northern Rhone Valley. I like to call this our winter white. Texturally, really rich. It's got nice density. The aromatics are stone fruits. You've got some peaches, some apricot. You've got some baked bread. You've also got kind of a honeycomb component. But on the palate, you really have a nice, really nice mouthfeel, great density, but also enough acidity to carry that. So it's not, the wine definitely doesn't have cankles. It's rich, but still has pretty good athleticism to it. How do we make this wine? It's pretty straightforward. We pick the fruit when it's ripe. We place it into a bladder press and then press that in the tank. And we keep that in tank for a few days and then drop it down into a selection of barrels. This is about 35 to 40% new oak. And the new oak on that is some French oak and Hungarian oak. We like the Hungarian oak for the spice and structure that it brings to the table. We like the aromatics of the French barrels. This wine, as far as a food pairing, would go well with, it goes well with firmer white fishes, let's say halibut or sea bass. It could also pair well with some butter poached scallops. Also works well with some spicy vegetarian dishes. You could do Moroccan chickpeas, braised greens, something like that. It's a pretty diverse wine. It stands up to heat pretty well. Production on this wine is just about 100 cases. It goes out, it's sold to our mailing list and then here at the tasting room. So if you're interested in it, the winery is the place to buy it. Let's move on to the next wine. Next wine is 2019 Garnacha. This is 90% Grenache with just a kiss of Syrah to it. The fruit sourcing for this is predominantly James Berry, no, not James Berry Vineyard. 70% of it is here at the Maha Estate. Excuse me. 20% of it is James Berry Vineyard, and then just a spot of the Syrah comes from Lunamata. This is probably my favorite Grenache in the last 5 or 6 years that we've done. I think what I really like is it's got all that Grenache component to it. It's bright, it's lively, but it's also got a little more depth to it with that slight addition of Syrah. Grenache hails from Spain and does quite well in our region. It's really the workhorse here on the west side. On these warm, hot days, the Grenache vines are the ones that really just stand strong. Most of this Grenache is all dry farmed, and it's really delicious. On the palate, it's got a lot of tension and energy, but it's also got some generous fruit components to it. We've made, what do we make? We made about 250 cases of this. Once again, pretty much mailing list and tasting room only wine. This is a wine that is dear to our hearts. We drink lots of Grenache, and we drink Grenache from all over the world, whether it's from the south of France or Spain or Australia. But I think the west side of Paso here is a very special spot for it. You get these nice rich flavors. You get this nice bright aromatics and liveliness. And these wines age pretty well for 7 to 12 years, depending on how you like them. Right now, it's just delicious. And what will we... What do you eat with this? I would eat some Maha Estate lamb. We could do a herbed rub leg of lamb with some lentils or some white beans. It would also go pretty well with some lighter shellfish things. You could do it with cioppino. You could do it with swordfish. But a delicious wine that not a lot of folks know about, and it is the most widely planted red variety in the world, which is kind of crazy. People don't know about Grenache and need to know more about it. On to our next wine, 19 Avenger. Avenger is the first wine that we made back in 2001. It was then and continues to be a Syrah dominant blend. This is a blend of Syrah, Graciano, Carignan, Mourvèdre, and Grenache. This is made with all certified organic fruits. So fruit sources for Avenger are Slide Hill, Maha, and Lunamata. Fermentation is pretty similar to our other red wines. We ferment in a smattering of concrete or stainless steel vessels, and that's usually for 3 to 4 weeks, and then we basket press that in the tank and then drop that into a selection of barrels. This happens to be about 40% new oak, and the new oak barrels on this are French and Hungarian. Aromatics on this are really fun. Dark fruits, but also some campfire, some roasted meats, a little bit of white flour. So you've got a dark component to it, but it's also kind of bright with that white flour note. On the palate, the palate is delicious. Dark berry pie, smoked pork shoulder, maybe a little bit of wet limestone. You say, wet limestone? Yeah, we'll go out here and we'll lick limestone rocks. It actually has a flavor. It's, tasting wine is an interesting thing. There are no wrong answers in your sensory evaluation. So whatever you smell or taste is what you smell or taste. And wet limestone is one of the components. So when you're out visiting here, go out and pick yourself up a rock and give it a lick. This wine will age pretty gracefully for 10 to 12 years. I like it now. It's delicious. It's got a real high yummy factor. You'll find yourself pulling a cork on this at one of your dinner parties and pulling another cork and another cork and another cork, because it's usually a real big crowd pleaser. We make about 400 cases of this wine. A little bit sees national distribution, but the best place to find it is here at the winery. Just delicious. All right, on to the high road. High road, we're coming full circle. High road also is a James Berry Vineyard designation. We've been working with the same rows of fruit here since 2002. So this is our 18th vintage of High Road. It's really a pleasure to work with this vineyard, and it's a lot of fun to make. It's the best barrels off the property in a given vintage. This vintage happens to be Mourvèdre based, with the remainder being Syrah and Grenache. It's the first time it's been Mourvèdre based in about 10 years, and it's kind of fun. Aromatics are pretty stunning. Real dark, bassy notes. We've got like notes of violet, notes of asphalt, real like blackberry. It's got a little bit of a camphor note to it. The palate is pretty dark and brooding, though pretty approachable. It reminds me a little bit of some of the Syrah wines you might find up in the Walla Walla area. This wine sees a bit of co-fermentation, so we'll pick Grenache and Syrah, or Grenache and Mourvèdre, or Mourvèdre and Grenache on the same day and ferment them together in a tank. We like what co-fermentation does. It's never the same as if you were to do the same thing separately and put it together. So it's got a bit of alchemy to it, which is really one of the fun parts of this whole process of crafting and making wine. Aged in a selection of barriques and puncheons. So a barrique is your normal 225-liter barrel. A puncheon is a 500-liter barrel. This wine's about 30% new oak, predominantly French, and then it's split up between the 500 and 225-liter sizes. This wine was aged about 18 to 20 months. We don't make a lot of this wine. We made 250 cases of this wine. This is really a wine club and mailing list only wine. It sees very little distribution, mainly to some high-end restaurants and a few wine shops around the country. But we'll hold a little back to pour here at the tasting room, so folks who have never been here before can taste it, have the opportunity to purchase it, and have fun with it at home. So that's the lineup for today. Our Via Creek flagship. If you have more interest in what we do, who we are, and the other wines that we make, please go to our website. Once again, the best place to buy our wines is directly through us, whether it's giving us a shout or going to the website or coming and visiting us here at the Maha Estate. So next time you're in Paso or you're looking to do a visit to wine country, make sure that Paso's on your radar, because I think some of the best wines in the world are being crafted here, and Villa Creek and Maha Estate are definitely at the top tier of that. Have a great day.